Blue Dog Films presents Paid to Dream with Charles Dennis.
Hello, it's
Hello.
Paid to Dream. Don't you speak yet. It's not your moment. I'll tell you when. So it's Paid to Dream. I'm Charles Dennis. I'm wearing my Canadian Lumberjack shirt because I have the famous Canadian Lumberjack pinup here as my guest. Right here on this podcast, Rosie Shuster. Did that drive you nuts when Ed Sullivan couldn't say your name right?
It didn't drive, well, he was really big shoe, so it was strange that he missed the shoe for Schuster because everything else was shoe, really big
Because
shoe.
he should have said a really
The one time he
Frank
needed
Schuster.
it, he couldn't do it. Yeah,
He
that
couldn't
was
swap
weird.
it off.
Yeah, that did seem odd.
You know, you would have thought, well, he would never have heard the name of the other Schuster, your father's cousin, Joe Shuster.
Uh-huh.
And
Double cousin.
Double cousin? What do you mean? What is that? What is a double cousin? I think
Two sisters from Kiev married two brothers from Rotterdam. So the two batch of kids were all double cousins. So Joe is my first cousin, even though I always say he's my uncle because nobody has time for this.
Did your father ever meet him?
He was his best man at his wedding. Of course he met
I
him.
had no idea.
Why would you? That's why you're interviewing me.
And this was after he'd been screwed by DC Comics.
That was when he was, in his 20s. He had his whole life to be bitter about it.
And you're
decades and decades and decades of someone sold it for, what was it, $50 million or something, the comic book that they split $120 for. I mean, it's the great, I can't think of another word other than the great, he got fucked, if I may.
Come se dice, fucked.
That is the word that feels appropriate.
That's the word. There's a tradition of Schusters getting fucked, I guess. So we can get into that later. You know, it's scary. I'd made a note here saying that I met you 50 years ago, but it really.
It's way back. No, the accumulation of decades is ridiculous.
It's really they're stacking them up.
It's a joke. It's a cosmic joke.
Well, I met your brother Stevie first. I was working at Camp Winnebago as a drama instructor, and by coincidence, your who would eventually be your husband, Lauren Lipowitz, he had been the drama instructor at Camp Winnebago. But that was 2 years ago. Were you there when he was the drama instructor?
I was at Winnebago, but I don't think I was at Winnebago at the same time. I think Lauren and I overlapped at New Moon or Timberlane, one of those.
Oh, you did the circuit.
I did every Jewish camp with an Indian name, every Jewish summer camp that had an India. I did Wabicon, Wahanawan, Winnebago. That's just the W's. I did many.
Wow.
Many summer camps.
But you never went back for a second summer at any of them.
That's not true. I think I went to Wahanawan twice, and I went to Wabicon. I did. There were, I started going to camp when I was probably 8 or 7 or something. So there were all those years till you were CIT.
There's a word.
It's enough that I remember 5 names of summer camps I went to. The years I can't help you with.
I don't want the years.
Wabicon, Wahanawan was first. And I think maybe Timberlane was last.
The gateway to Manitou Wobbing, was that Ben Wise?
That was the artsy one.
Yeah.
The artsy camp, yeah. That was our Interlochen in the summer, yeah.
Wow, Interlochen, Michigan. My first wife went to Interlochen. But this isn't about me, it's about you. Although
No,
it's
well,
about...
that's a very interesting subject. How many were there? Sure.
Oh, you mean the shows that folded out of
Wives.
town, as I
No,
refer
the
to them?
wives. Yes. Is that how you refer to your ex-wives?
Yes, yes, because I now have a smash hit that's running in its ninth year. And so
What?
that's Ulrika and I. This is our ninth year together.
Oh, yes, yes. I see what you're saying. Yes, I know you're doing very well.
Thank you. Thank you. It's about time.
It's about time. You got it right.
On the job training. That's
Yeah,
there
really.
was no school. But
Right.
so here's one of my books. There's a body in the window seat. The
Yeah.
history of arsenic and old lace. And that's
Yes.
what brought the Schuster family into my orbit, because
Right.
your brother Stephen played Teddy Brewster, and he was wonderful.
He
God,
was very well cast.
he really went. Nobody ever said charge the way
You really
Stevie
had
did.
an eye for who. Yeah, ahead of time. Yeah.
Ahead of time. Yeah, but then and then your parents came on visiting day, and you know they approved of me handling the boy,
Mm-hmm.
and we remained friends beyond camp. And then when I went my first year at U of T, I was in a Heartbreak House, the Shaw play, and it was opening night. Opening night. How many nights do these shows run? I can't remember. And I went into Jack Messenger's dressing room after the show, and there was this couple, and that's where I first met you. And
Right.
I
Right.
don't want to
Right.
say how many years ago, but it was a long time ago. And then this friendship began
Right.
with the three of us, which was very odd. And I remember coming to live with you guys in L.A. back in 1968.
Was that the year?
Yeah,
Wow.
that was a year because I went to Cocktails for Kennedy one night on the Sunset Strip, and I got tired of waiting for Bobby Kennedy to turn up, and I think he got killed that night.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's right. The Ambassador Hotel,
the Ambassador Hotel.
1968.
What I also remember about that summer was the Blue Mustang, and I was trying to
That
remember.
was Lawrence. Yeah.
It was. So, did he drive to work every day and leave you stranded, or did you take him to NBC?
No, I think he took the car. I got a black Volkswagen out in LA at some point. And I don't remember if I had it yet. I remember having to walk Lou. Do you remember the Basset Hound?
Please,
Mr.
Lou Gottlieb.
Mr. Lou Gottlieb, vice president in charge of sales. I used to walk by him and go, "Don't worry, Lou, business will pick up." He just had this look like he was under so much stress.
Since people always say you get the dog that looks like you or has some.
It was a gift.
Oh,
That was Peter. Peter Gold gave a puppy to us. To
in
Lauren.
Canada, and you brought it to California?
Well, he was our dog.
I
But
don't remember him back in.
the poor beast made too many trips back and forth in the wherever they stick them with the bag. I mean, it's not pretty. And on his third journey or fourth, he came out a different dog. He had it with that.
I
And Lou had to go to the farm.
And Lou went to live on a farm, and I remember about
Because
a month later,
Lou wigged after too many crossing, too many cross country trips. I'd give him Valium, which is what they told me to give him to muffle his journey, so he would sleep.
Well, one of the funniest things Lauren ever said to me, that he actually wrote, about a month after Lou's departure, I said, "How's Lou doing?" And he said, I called the farm and I asked, "May I speak to Lou?" And the voice said, "Speaking."
I never heard that. I don't remember that.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Right.
Wow. And then I'm trying.
Lou was
Oh
doing
yeah,
very well, apparently. He learned to speak.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I think a year. I was lying in bed this morning, going, "Is there something I've forgotten that I wanted to?" Yes, about a year before we all moved to California, you and Kathy Chilco were working for Jack Barry and Dan
That's
Enright.
right. They were run out of the United States for the whole quiz show.
Yeah, and these are the
Like
guys. You
as
saw
quiz
the
show, the
Robert Redford
movie
movie quiz show.
commemorated, and Jack Bear. They were hiding up there doing a show that had been in the States as Juvenile Jury, and they redid it as Little People. And Kathy and I were talent scouts. But first, I have to tell you something about Lou that
Yes.
only you would appreciate. I was walking him one day on Hollywood Boulevard, and he peed on Nina Foch's star. Only you would maybe enjoy that.
But I think I used that in the next to last train ride. Something I gave the line to this actress that
I
said,
know.
"Some fag's chihuahua pissed on Nina Foch's stuff."
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
just,
We're all shameless magpies,
yeah,
writers.
yeah. Oh, of course. That's how we're going to come up with these ideas all
I
day.
know,
Where
it's
do
too
you guys
much.
come up with your
Another
ideas?
line, another line, another. How much do you want blood from a stone? It's
I
yeah.
remember being in the swimming pool at that place up on. Now I've blanked. Above Franklin, where you
Right,
guys had the apartment.
right. Near the Landmark Motel or something. Was
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah. And it was right at the top
where
of the street.
either
Well, we were in the
Janis
swimming pool.
Joplin, or from the Doors died. Jim Morrison
It
at the
was
Landmark Motel
okay.
where we were staying. It was it was on the marquee.
No, but this was a big apartment house
Yeah,
around a swimming pool at the top of the.
right.
Of course, I'll have to bleep it in later. Uh, but we were in the pool, and you mentioned something about coming on a ship called the SS Mein Kind, and I thought this woman is brilliant. Why the hell isn't she writing at NBC? You used to
I
sort of
did. I snuck a monologue. I snuck. I mean, Lorne and Hart were out of monologues for Rowan and Martin, and I said, I'll write a monologue. So I wrote. They picked my monologue, and that's the one that went on the air for
wow.
for Rowan and Martin. So I did not get credit, and I didn't
Of
get
course you did.
paid. But I thought I got away, and they used it. But I thought I got away with something.
That I want to go back to Dan Enright because I remember he had another show going in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
Because John Kastner was working for him on the show in Montreal, and he used to tell me weird stories about Dan Enright. That he would sort of sidle up and go, "Everything okay? You okay? You okay?" And then,
Well,
do you have any?
Jack
Yeah.
Barry was a little bit broken by the time he was doing that. He would lean into the juvenile jury, these four young kids that were supposed to answer lovelorn letters, give their advice. And I think he had kind of boozy breath, and it was kind of a very strange interface between these fresh-faced little kids picked, for their outgoingness and their, the, guaranteed not to clam up on camera, and then this guy who just really was phoning it in the boondocks.
Poor Jack Barry.
Yeah.
And then that whole scene, and then that was the Phyllis Diller summer show.
Right.
I
That
remember
was
that. Yeah, and then
she used to warm up the audience with just filthy jokes.
who Phyllis Diller?
Phyllis Diller
She did her
herself.
own warm up. I didn't realize that.
She did. She would do a couple of really raunchy. I won't even say them because they're startling. And yeah, she disarmed the audience, those who didn't leave, those with the fortitude to stay, like, something's
And
going on with this old broad we didn't quite see before. She has dimensions, other dimensions.
And then there are conflicting stories of how Hart and Lorne got the gig on Laugh-In, but the one I remember was that they were at that place Kosherama, in Burbank, and you queued up and you ordered whatever, and Hart planted himself in front of Rowan and Martin and started doing a routine. And they said, "Who is this guy?" And then I guess one of the two of them said, "Oh, he works on Phyllis Diller," and that was the way they got in there. Do you
Possibly,
remember?
but I think, wasn't privy to that scene, but it's not hard to imagine Hart aggressively going after a gig, nor.
Yeah, yeah.
But I thought, Bernie, I think, took credit for mention. I don't know. I think Bernie had just joined up right around then too, and I think he claimed he knew them. I think he claimed that he got the gig for them. They could both be true.
And again, what does it matter?
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, centuries from now.
Except your podcast is going to rip the lid off how that gig was got.
Sensational.
Okay, let's get to the deep, gnarly truth.
Oh my God. And then at the end of 1968, I moved to London, and you guys came to London that summer. Or was the summer? All I know is you came to see me at Lionel Chetwynd's flat.
I do vaguely remember.
Well, it must have been 1970, because Lionel didn't like Lorne. Mm-hmm. And Lorne was sitting on a sofa. I can still see it. He was sitting on the sofa, and he was telling about the Hart and Lorne Terrific Hour. So it must have been 1970. And ever after, whenever Lionel would never say Lorne's name, but he would point to the sofa and say, "That guy." He just...
Where he sat on his sofa, you mean?
Yeah. It was like Lou Jacoby did in Come Blow Your Horn, where he'd point, he'd point to the chair,
Right. He who shall not be named.
Yes, absolutely. He who shall not be named. And then you came back. Then I went back to Toronto in 1970 and returned in 71 because Lionel had hired me, forced on his partners, for me to direct this musical, Maybe That's Your Problem, which has gone into the ether of... But you turned up with Wendy Sauter because you guys had left your spouses.
We took a time out. We enjoyed a hiatus, a little lacuna.
Oh my God, yeah. And then I took that idea and wrote a script called Penny and Kim, which never managed to get made. But I looked at it a couple of weeks ago, and it's a little microcosm on 1970s in London and LA, because I started off with them in LA, and yeah.
I remember Lorne and I used to tease you. You just whipped out these books and these plays or whatever the hell you were writing, and we would say, "We're gonna wash up. You write a novel, Charles. We're gonna wash up and we'll meet at dinner."
What is true? That apartment up on whatever that street was that I've blanked on.
Our place, like in Edmond, on Edmond.
It'll come. Whatever.
Are you in London or
Toronto? No, sorry. This is that 68 in the apartment
in LA.
Up above Franklin. Yeah. I actually did.
I know the place you mean. It was right next to the Landmark. It was near the Landmark Motel.
Yeah, but I sat in your kitchen with this little itty bitty typewriter I had, and I wrote a screenplay in one night. which then became the inspiration for a sitcom a few years later that I was offered the lead role in and turned down. But that's a whole other story.
You turned down your own writing?
Well, I remember Lauren saying to me, "You could have written this," and I thought, I did. But these things happen. It's called show business.
Mm-hmm.
And then back in Toronto again, all of us, and then Lauren went back to LA with you, and that's when the Lily Tomlin shows, I guess.
Well, first I got reunited with Earl Pomerantz, who was, and I worked on. For $50, I bought the name Sue Denham from my brother, and I worked on Keep on Trucking in a partnership with Earl Pomerantz because we had worked together on Hart and Lauren's show in Toronto with Earl. So we were the other Pomerantz and Michaels.
Well, that was great. But now,
so under the name Sue Denham, because I was appalled at Keep on Truckin', the show, the Peppy and Nails, but I needed some money, so that's why people work, right? Sometimes, and then I worked on Lily. I twisted Lauren's arm for a job since we'd worked together at camp and at college and everywhere we went. All along, I thought I want in with Lily. My writing partner's already there because Earl and I did some writing together in those days. So yeah, I got a job on Lily, which was fabulous.
And then came SNL. And 50 years later, it's still there.
It's still there.
Like Ozymandias or something, it's large legs in the desert. So how did you feel about seeing someone portray you in a movie?
Oh, it was demented. It was so surreal. I had a heads up because I think Jason snuck me a very rough draft, which was, so I kind of saw where they were going with it. It was surreal. It's someone's fever dream of you. It's not really you. But it's bizarre. And I mean, I'm somebody who had both men in my family had a kind of Truman Show delusion. So suddenly there I am. It was like it's all like the bubble between show business and reality is, I believe it's being breached right at this moment.
I know. Is this true? Is this true? Is it anything? I would like. Well, we still have time.
It was like a fever dream to see it and surreal. And I was in the moment. I was a little pissed off because they had me in this bougie business casual outfit, and I prided myself on being a subversive punk right about then.
Absolutely.
So I went, how is she? She almost had one of those pussy bow kind of business casual things, and it was like, that's not me. What do you? I had irreverent T-shirts and hats that showed I was a character that filled in for my character, which wasn't all happening yet. Anyway,
I want to talk about Margot Kidder, because she came into my life. Well, she had repeated moments in my life going back to when I worked at the Telegram, but she was something else. And
she sure was.
Yeah, and one of the reasons we became close, we were doing a cartoon series together, and when that you and I were friends, and I'm just sorry the three of us never had a chance to be together.
To hang, that would have been great. I saw her on every coast, and
Did you first meet her in Canada?
The way I met her was Lauren was going to be Canada's answer to the great Canadian talk show. He was going to be Canada's Johnny Carson, and they were trying to audition all these different people. And I think Peter Zosky wound up getting it. But so it was a very last minute thing, and he was suddenly going to go do this. And he said, go pre-interview Margot Kidder, and let's see if you think she'll talk. And I went over to Peter Pearson's apartment where she was in a couple with Peter, and the girl just unspooled this just vast melodrama. She was always involved in, just overwrought melodrama, and she just talked my ear off for 4 hours. But it was we were connecting. It was not just over my dead body. We were connecting and laughing. And I just went back to Lauren and said, she'll talk. And thank God. So she was his liveliest guest. But he didn't become Canada's answer to Johnny Carson in that way.
Or even Gordon Sinclair.
Right. Hated fluoride. He got in on the ground floor. It'll shrink your pineal gland, they say. Turn it into fiberglass.
Do you remember the series Wojak that John Vernon did on CBC?
I remember. I was aware of its presence. I don't.
Yeah, and it was actually like the first hit show that people weren't ashamed to say, I watched Wojak. And it was ripped off years later and became Quincy with Jack Klugman about a coroner.
Okay.
But there was this one episode, I watched the show faithfully, and I went, that girl's naked. She's in bed and she's naked. And it was Margie. And
she was method acting.
The next day I was at the Telegram, and this girl walked in, and I said, I didn't recognize her first because she had clothes on, but I said, that's the girl from last night. And Bob Blackburn, who was the TV critic for the Telegram, he said, she's mine. I thought, oh yeah, right. But so that was whatever, 1966. And then the summer of 69, I was in Ireland, and at that wonderful, wonderful studio where they shot Lion in Winter and everything. And I looked and I said, there's Margot Kidder. But we had not been introduced before, and we weren't introduced then. And then we ended up doing that cartoon series and became great friends.
What was the cartoon series?
It was called Phantom 2040. It was, remember the old Phantom comic strip about the guy in the purple suit with the mask in Africa?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, and we did that, and we had a lot. We bonded. She had this apartment in Hollywood, but like in really horrible part of Hollywood. What is she doing living here? I don't think I think she'd bought it. I think it was like a condo.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
I missed that. I don't.
Yeah,
think
you didn't miss anything much.
I was at Sarah Retreat and lots of other places of hers, but.
Yeah, I still remember her down on her hands and knees trying to find her tooth.
You weren't that. She did that twice because she did that in the bar in Livingston, Montana.
She obviously had a bad dentist.
She did it when?
No, I say she obviously had a bad dentist because, this happened twice.
Hollywood mistreated her when she was young, and she went to do, Gene Wilder. Was it a Gene Wilder movie? That was
the one in Ireland.
That's
when I saw her again, and Quacks Her Fortune.
But that was that was towards the beginning of her career in Hollywood.
Right.
They said, we have to rebuild your mouth, and they took teeth out just
for
aesthetics. No. They screwed her. It was, just like they drugged Judy Garland and kids who worked. That was really wrong. Yeah,
and obviously she was convinced the CIA was spying on her in that place in Hollywood. It was,
Well, she was bipolar, and she had when the illness was up, she had delusions. That's often how it is. So that was a bad moment of mental illness.
I hosted her daughter for dinner when I lived in New York a couple of times.
Maggie, yeah.
Maggie, she was nice. The husband was strange, Walter.
Which one? Walter Kern?
Yeah.
He now does a podcast with Matt Taibbi, who seems to have gone over to the very Russia friendly.
Well,
it's hard to know what's going on these days.
no, Walter Kern, strange boy. Well, you know
He
what?
was half Mormon. He's half more.
Oh yes. Oh please.
He's more. He was Mormon. He was raised Mormon.
And he had something to do with that phony Rockefeller. Do you remember that guy who said he was the Rockefeller?
Oh yeah, there's something.
And Walter
vanity.
was like his link to the outside. Wow. Are you in touch with?
Walter's an odd, intense character. Yeah.
Are you in touch with Maggie?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, we want to get together. I just talked to a mutual friend of ours about when we could figure out a time. Yeah.
Cool.
At Margie's memorial, she disclosed that Margie had told her that when she died, she wanted to be her remains to be brought up the mountain to be left for the bears. Because she wanted, circle of life. But this little girl is going, how do I get my dead mother, who was very healthy at the time? It was just a nutty detail.
I have such a good time talking with you. Always have. Always will. I hope you all enjoyed Rosie Shuster as much as I do. If you like it, click like. Don't you dare say you didn't like it. This has been Charles Dennis, Paid to Dream. Goodbye, my love.
Bye, darling.